Hi everybody, Mr. Powell here again with Patrick Henry Powell in the second installment of the History at Our House video FAQ series. Today we're going to talk about classical civilizations. So Patrick, what does it mean to say something is classical?
Ideas from the past that we still use.
Okay, very good. So all ancient civilizations, of course, are extinct, but classical civilizations are civilizations that have passed on something to us that still remains alive and important to us today. So, of course, for example, the most important thing I can think of in the American Republic is the idea of a republic. So, Patrick, where does that come from?
That comes from Rome.
Okay, when was the first republic created by the Romans?
Circa 509 BC.
Okay, and in that year, what did they do?
They overthrew Tarquinius Superbus, who was the last king.
Okay, the last king of Rome. Very good. All right, and so the Romans gave us the idea of a republic, which includes, for instance, the idea that the government should offer special protections to its citizens, even from the power of the government. Who was it that protected people in Rome from the government?
The tribunes.
The tribunes, right? The plebeian officials that protected the commoners, as they were known, the plebeians, from the power of the patrician government. And then later on, the Romans made another wonderful innovation, and they created a fundamental set of laws for Rome, which is called what?
The laws of the 12 tables.
Okay, which is an example of a constitution, which inspired, in turn, the Founding Fathers later in history. Okay, very good. So the Founding Fathers took a lot of instruction from Rome, and that's how our modern world came to be in many cases. They also admired ancient Greece. What did the Greeks provide for us that is so special?
The Athenian democracy.
Okay, great. Which they invented when?
Circa 508 BC.
Okay, excellent. Now, Athens created this wonderful civilization, this wonderful classical civilization. It was almost wiped out just as it was getting started. What happened?
The Greco-Persian Wars from 500 to 449 BC.
Okay, great. So Greece survived this Persian onslaught and was able then to have what we call the Golden Age, in which so many values that we still cherish today were born, such as science and philosophy and history and democratic freedom. And so that's wonderful. Now, Greek civilization, however, was eventually conquered. By whom?
By the Romans in the Roman conquest of Greece on 146 BC.
Around 146 BC. Why did the Romans conquer the Greeks?
Because the Roman Empire was fighting the Carthaginians, and Greece decided to help it. So when Carthage finally got conquered, they decided to conquer the Greeks as well.
Yes, now there's some sadness to that, but what ended up being created there was what we call Greco-Roman civilization. And we're going to see, of course, that has tremendous consequences. Now let's just continue with the Roman story now, because now that the Greeks were inside the Roman Empire, they became Romans. So many people were Romans. Let's talk about a single individual that was a Roman citizen, somebody born inside the Roman Empire, and absolutely very important to history. So who's that individual?
Jesus Christ, who was born circa 4 BC.
Okay, right. So we don't know exactly when he was born. Now, our calendar is based on that, and the religion of Christianity, of course, became the most important religion in Western civilization, and that's how our calendar came to be the way that it is. But historians in modern times really have analyzed everything and realized, well, the best that we can do is to guess that Jesus was in fact born circa 4 BC. Okay, so the Romans had abandoned their republic and created an empire. Jesus was born in that empire, and Christianity arose in that empire. But eventually, it fell. When was that?
On the fall of Rome in 476 AD.
476 AD. And what came after this collapse?
The Dark Ages.
The Dark Ages, right, exactly. But as you and I have been talking about, the ideas of ancient times didn't die completely. There were still people who were interested in ancient ideas, including ancient philosophy, such as the Greek philosophers. Who are those famous Greek philosophers we learned about?
Plato, Aristotle, and Socrates.
Yeah, right. And so there were monks within the Christian church that eventually brought about a rebirth of those ideas, which was really wonderful. That rebirth is called
The Renaissance.
The Renaissance, exactly. And that included not only ancient philosophy, but ancient science, ancient history, and ancient art as well. And, well, that led to some wonderful new discoveries, including
the discovery of America.
In 1492, because Christopher Columbus was a scholar of ancient geography, in particular the theories of Ptolemy and Aristotle concerning how the earth was round and how you could sail west in order to reach the east. He brings all of this amazing development from Europe, the Western civilization, to the Americas in 1492. And eventually, the Europeans who are here create a new country when?
In 1776 AD.
With the Declaration of Independence and the 4th of July, as everybody knows, America comes into being, and all of those wonderful ideas now are transplanted here. And of course, modern developments build on that and create the modern world that we enjoy and live in today. All right, thank you, Patrick, for tracing the impact of classical civilization on our modern lives. Hi everybody, Mr. Powell here again with Patrick Henry Powell to tell you the story Bleaky Blooky Blook.
No.
Go.
The Greco-Persian Wars from 5 to 449 BC. The Greco-Persian Wars from 500 to 449 BC. The Greco-Persian Wars from 500 to 449 BC.
But Greek civilization did get eventually conquered. When did that happen?
During the Roman conquest of Greece in 146 BC.
Yeah, now why did the Greeks conquer the Romans? Oh, wait a minute. Why did the Romans conquer the Greeks?